I'm so excited to talk about this Black Women Lead banner project. Ed, can you tell me about the genesis of these banners? How did this project come to be?
In one true sense, it came from the fact that my grandmother and my great aunt both graduated from college during the time of the Depression, 1929 and 1934. So the family, I've had everybody as college graduates. And in some ways, capturing the fact that I've had these great women leaders in my own family, this was a way to do something in their memory.
I love that. And there are 212 women who are celebrated on these banners. 212 is a very specific number. Can you talk a little bit about how you went about selecting these women?
Sure. So we did things like, we tried to get as much community process as possible. So we had ads in the Bay State Banner, we had ballots in places like the Grove Hall Library and Freedom House. Word of mouth, Black historians, people who had an interest in Black history, and anybody that had ever made a list before. So if there was any list and you were on it, you got on it, you could nominate yourself. You didn't have to be nominated. We had people's PR firms calling us. We had people with small groups trying to get their friends to call. But it wasn't based on popularity or votes. You just needed one nomination. And then we researched every single person. So there were certain things that became true. So anybody that was typically the first of something, first Black woman doctor, first Black woman lawyer, first Black woman dentist, first Black woman nurse, judge, first Black woman to do something, that was always a key. First Black woman mayor, first Black woman congresswoman, like all those first Black women to do something. All the people who are founders, presidents, CEOs, all those titles, those were important. Another set were people who had things named after them, right? So there's lots of buildings. So the thinking there was, that you probably didn't get your name on a building because you left $1 million or $10 million donation. You probably did something that the community came along. So there's a couple different women that have scholarships named after them. Then there's buildings, right? So Melanie Cass has a building. There's another center over there. Frederica Williams has a building. Rabina Guscott has a building. So there's all these Black women that have stuff named after them. So that's a testimony to who they are. Then there's people who did things that were special or unique that we thought were important to the Black community. So we wanted to define leadership broadly. So you have, there's a woman there that had 50 foster children. There's a woman there that was a foster grandmother who did that for 25 years and stopped at age 95 and kept going. So she was one of the people that we were able to honor, et cetera. So we felt that things like that were a special contribution to the Black community. We wanted to recognize leadership in a number of different ways. And the other part that was really key is that we worked with Mother Caroline Academy, and we gave them lists of names, and the students then helped select people by class. When I saw that each group was getting different names, I thought, wow, this is really great because these young ladies are learning about resiliency and Black history and all the stuff about other Black women, meaning that whatever you wanted to do, more likely than not, there was a Black woman that has already gone before you from the same community. So first Black woman fireman, first Black woman police officer, there's a Black woman football player on the list, Black woman running the Boston Marathon. So the idea, and so there's 3 librarians on the list. There's 2 hairdressers on the list. There's Ma Dixon from the restaurant, right? So you have Ma Dixon, who then teaches Bob, who becomes Bob the chef, that becomes Daryl's. So you see that whole history. Women leaders, Bishop Nellie Yarborough, Bishop Barbara Harris, Reverend Liz Walker, Reverend Gloria White Hammond. So you see all the ministry people. So the idea is whatever occupation you as a young lady think you want to do, there's already been a Black woman from Boston that has done it. And if there isn't, then there's been many people who've been the first, and you can be the first too.
That is so incredible. I'm just like so hyped just thinking about these powerful Black women facing all of Blue Hill Avenue. Kamali, I would love to bring you into the conversation as one of the two artists behind these incredible portraits. Can you talk about what was most exciting for you to do as you worked on this, and what were some of the challenges that you faced depicting these women?
It was a really fun year. It took a while. Ed and I talked for a while leading up to being selected. So it was exciting. I just tried to make myself really available to you and supportive. I had just done a similar project for Lexington the year before, and so that's how we got connected. I guess it's just I have an art background, so the opportunity to create and really focus on my art. That's what's exciting about it. That's part of what's fun. This was a great project to be a part of. I come from Boston, so.
And you said your mother knew a lot of the people.
Yeah. My mother is. A lot of them were her peers and friends, and so I got to meet some of them. My mother was at the brunch that sort of kicked it off. And
one of the things I thought was funny is like his mother would be like, "You haven't did that person right. They're too dark."
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She had some suggestions, and I had to send it through her a couple of times and get her approval. But yeah, seeing just so many parts of this, where seeing Ed's kind of leadership, kind of bring this idea into something real, was just a great example of leadership. Seeing all of these faces, I was kind of immersed in these faces and portraits for the better part of a year.
Wow.
Folks I didn't know, some of the names I had heard. Like I said, some of them were peers of my family. Benari Wiley, she was the roommate of a friend of mine who's a friend of my family's. Getting time to look these names up, see who these people were, and just, I think as you go down that street, go down Blue Hill Avenue, you'll see these 200 portraits that go on as long as you can see, and you can just pick a name and look them up, and there's somebody who's done some great contribution to this city. So, that's the most exciting part of it. Being able to create and be a part of this and contribute to something so important. With something that I love, was just it's just not even work. It's just fun.
You worked with Brianna Young, the second artist for this.
Yeah.
So as creatives, both of you, I'm sure, coming into this with your own unique styles. What was the conversation like getting on the same page with how to illustrate these women?
Well, I think the advantage was Ed had sort of a sample set of 5, I think, or 4 that were done. So. To be a part of the project initially, I had to submit an image that was sort of in the style of what they had already done. And so that worked out okay.
And so I thought we were close to it. So again, not knowing this, because these digital files, there was a lot of nuances to them.
Yeah.
And so he'd be like, "Ed, these ones have a slight gray or blue background," or I'm trying to think of how to explain it. There was like a lot of stuff that we didn't see till the end. So like Brianna would be like, "You didn't tell me that was part of the color palette," and I was like, "I didn't know." And so it would have been nice if I would have harmonized all the stuff in the beginning, but I didn't know till we got further into it. So the styles were similar, but there were smaller details and nuances that showed up towards the end that we had to work out.
Yeah, I think that's part of just kind of managing a creative project. It's like some things are kind of developing as you go along. Something that takes this long, I feel like. We knew what we were working towards, like what the style was more or less. My son, my kids are some of my critics, or they offer critique, and they'd be in there while I was drawing. I think Brianna said something similar, that her daughter came in, "Who are these people?" And she had some comment about, "These are great women in Boston." But having our kids there, like, kind of looking at them, my son said, "That's part of the fun of it, is that they look a little different too." You know what I mean? So when you look up there and see them, you'll see that, there are sort of 2 different styles in the same theme. Brianna and I collaborated in the beginning, trying to make sure we were kind of in the same area with the color palette, sharing some emails and stuff, and she was great. I think at a certain point down the road, I asked some of Deborah, Jackie, who was helping us, I just said, I haven't seen anything. Are they looking like they're going to work well together? And she said, "Yeah, they are." you're gonna be all right. So that was good.
How can our viewers learn more about this project and see these banners for themselves?
Well, there's two things. One, they can drive down Blue Hill Avenue from Seaver Street to West Cottage is where it's going to be in the end. There'll be like 1.8 miles of banners. All but probably 30 of them are up right now. Representative Chris Worrell is actually working on perhaps we will have a march or parade or something to walk down Blue Hill Avenue so we can walk past all the banners. My vision there was fathers, daughters, mothers, family, make it whole family friendly, and you just sort of walk and you can talk about people who you know, who you don't know. And then the Boston Public Library and Northeastern University have joined the project, and so they're working on creating Wikipedia pages and more information for all the women up there. So the people who are more obscure that you may or may not know will have information for all of them. And part of the reason why that's important is because when we were doing the project and Black teachers heard about it, they said this is something that we'd love to have for the classroom. And they felt that there were more role models for young boys than there were for young girls, and so they thought having this wide range of successful role models of Black leaders would be helpful for the Black girls, the students in the classroom. And so then it's like, okay, how do we then make this curriculum or make it available? And this is particularly important in an age where, you know, learning about Black history and critical race theory and being woke is so negative. And I also feel personally that we have to rewrite the narrative on Black women, that their history is missing, it's forgotten, it's distorted. And so this is a way to like correct that history and bring it forward.